This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the Daily FX Forum.
So here are the 5 pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during yesterday's report, I mentioned a simple resistance line here that I added to the chart, and that prices were directly in the middle of the range. I am expecting a downside breakout. Actually, a forum member pointed out something on the monthly chart, which was interesting, indicating the possibility for a downside breakout here. But again, that would only be confirmed with a close beneath either this trend line here or preferably that 88.40 area. So moving forward now, I mentioned yesterday's report I might wait for prices to come up and brush up against this the thin blue line here, this resistance line. I really don't like this line. There's just not enough separation between these two highs if prices were to come up and brush up against it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the line and use this white line here. Even with this penetration, we do have 3 distinct points and some nice separation. So again, that's what I'd be looking for on the short side. And right now, this is about just beneath that 91 figure, call it about 90.88, which is about 100 pips away. So I really don't see this trade setting up. But if it does within the next 24 hours, we look to short. Let's call it short at 90.80, maybe with a stop at 91.10. But again, that's something I really don't see materializing within the next 24 hours. But it's something we can certainly keep our eye on. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi, and if you recall during yesterday's report, I mentioned the entry at 124.30 with a stop at 124.80. Right now, prices are still up against that line. This would be the previous support line, which might now be acting as resistance. So I still like this trade idea. A little less confident. I'd like to have seen prices drop a little bit further by now. But again, I'd go ahead and enter right now 24.40 and place the same stop at 24.80. So if you're listening to tonight's report, you're only taking 40 pips worth of risk. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and not much has really changed here. Again, I'm still just waiting for something to materialize, and I really don't see anything, so I'm just going to stay on the sidelines. Next chart is the Euro Swiss. If you recall, during yesterday's report, I had the entry long at 148.40 with a stop right at the figure at 148. Prices did not exceed that low, so you should still be in that trade, and actually right now prices are again right at 148.40, so I'd keep the same trade idea right now. So if you're flat, I'd go ahead and enter 148.40 again with a stop at the figure 148. The next chart is the Euro Aussie, and not much has changed here either. Still waiting for prices to come back and test the previous support line from the opposite side. That would be this low here, which is about the 59.43 area, or this low here, which is about the 59.67 area. But right now, prices are about over 200 pips away, so I really don't see this setting up within the next 24 hours. But that's the trade setup I'm looking for, and possibly it could materialize later on in the week, and I'll certainly update that with my future reports. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the Daily FX Forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the Daily FX Forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as Daily FX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, you know, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on, you know, how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, you know, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there, you'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, you know, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should, you know, double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would, you know, suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.